Well, well, well. If it isn't Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Jesus, I can't believe I wrote that. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, nominal. Oh, wait, what's that noise? Do you hear that? What, oh my God. Why, it's Lipton. Tea. Black tea. Ever heard of it? America's favorite. I'm suspicious. Oh, hold on. My other ear, there's... What is that sound that's in there? What could that be? Why, oh my God, why it's... Could it be a very small chorus of nerds or complaining that Nominor is not, analogous to a Western religious deity? And, that using him as such as a replacement for it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it doesn't make a lot of sense because he's a more of a military figure or a governor than a deity. And that I really should be using, Jan Yamka, the Yuzan Vong's god of war, or Jan Harla, the trickster god, the sister of Jan Yamka that Jaina Solo pretended to be. And why, yes, it is. It really is that infinitesimally tiny chorus of nerds who have, they're in far too much command of bad, dumb ideas and facts about a bad series of novels and a mostly bad series of series. Star Wars? Ever heard of it? Well, I have two responses for those nerds. Number one, Nominor is just a better sounding name. It lends itself all to me saying Nominor, and then there's noises and whatnot, along with a zoom in on his face. Number two, shut up. Lipton. Ever heard of it? You probably have. Most people have. It's also most people's experience with tea, I would say. Unfortunately, it's what they think of when they think tea. They don't think about a bunch of leaves. They think about, dust. Dust in a bag with a staple on it. That'll taste good. Let's plop her in there. Oh yeah. Let's sniff her. Smells like bag, metal staple. Smells a little bit like it's been stored for too long. It also smells like almost nothing. That's a good sign. Let's brew her. I'm gonna follow their instructions for this is a near boiling liquid here. This looks so tilty all of a sudden, like precariously so. Okay, here we go. Give it a rinse. Now I don't know how long to brew this for, because I usually don't brew bagged Lipton black tea in a Gaiwan, but we'll see as we go. We'll make it up. A little thing called improvisation. The worst art form ever devised. Ever heard of it? Well, we got a little bit of smell here. It's malty. It's a little bit fruity, very kind of like a dark fruit. Kind of get with an Assam. Probably because there's Assam in there. And a little bit of... This keeps showing up in kind of low-grade teas, but what I'm going to call like toasted cereal notes, which is odd. The colors on that's pretty nice, and you know what? You can complain about the bag all you want, but there's not a drop of dust in that there cup. Ain't that a wonder? Hey, you know, let's read some of the words that the Lipton company has paid someone to write about this very tea in this very bag. Oh, it's upside down. It's learning why it made no sense. Our master blenders have crafted a delicious blend that includes carefully selected and fresh pressed tea leaves, capturing as much natural tea taste as possible. Lipton black tea includes real tea leaves, specially blended to enjoy hot or iced. Enjoy Lipton black tea iced as the perfect addition to any meal because it's naturally tasting and refreshing. Don't just settle for the usual. Enjoy the superior taste of fresh brewed Lipton tea. It's the Lipton difference. So take a sip and let our tea brighten your day. Wow. Now that's illuminating. Now let's illuminate my taste buds with a little bit of this. I mean, right, I'm just going to pour it out immediately. That bag looks very unfortunate in there. It's not particularly visually pleasant. Oh, there we go. Get that back down there. Okay. Give it a little poury-dory. Make sure I get this part and everything. Oh, we got a little bit of liquid in there. The bag just holds on to so much. God, that doesn't have much of a smell at all. It actually smells a little astringent, which is odd. Maybe I'm just projecting. It's got some of the same smells as before, but weaker. The breakfast cereal, the maltiness. I didn't get any of the fruit on that, though. Or on this smell. Alright, let's see what we got here. Oh, we got a liquid that's a little too hot for consumption. What kind of tea are this? What variety in it? Where it from? Who are nominor? Some of these questions will be answered. Varietal, that's sort of unknown, or it's so known that it's not known. Right, because it's a blend. It's a blend of a lot of things. You know, a blend, a mixture, a combination, a blend. Ever heard of it? Doesn't taste like much. We're going to brew this for a little longer. The instant was not the way to go. Yeah, it tastes like very mildly toasty water. You just baked some water. Baked water. Delicious. So, okay, this isn't just a blend. This is like a super blend. This is a blend of a lot. And it's not a consistent blend, because what they're aiming for here is not a consistency of blend, but a consistency of the outcome of the blend, right? So it's despite the constantly changing innards of it, the end product, its exterior kind of remains stationary. It remains the same year to year, and that's what they're trying to do here. Okay, so the Lipton Tea and Infusions Company, who is the whatever proprietor owner of this brand, and many other dusty grocery store sacks that you can find at your local, nightmare zone that they call a food place. They've got farms in like 24 countries, and it's not just like one farm per country. It's a lot. Let's call that a sufficient steep. It's a huge amount of farms everywhere, from like India to Sri Lanka, China, Bangladesh. There's some places in like South and Central America, Kenya, right? It's all over. And and what's in this specific bag is all of that, but changing from year to year, because individual farms are going to have different crops year to year, and so they have to keep changing it so that it doesn't change. So this tea That's got a bit of a malt smell on it. What do you have on you? This tea manages to be from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. You got nothing, but you didn't have a lot of time. Okay, God, this smells a lot like that Bigelow Oolong that I had a while ago. That's weird. It's that toasted thing. It's that toasted cereal thing. What's going on? Look at those tiny, tiny little leaves in there. You can kind of see that there's like a variation. There's a couple different colors of things. There's a lot in here. This enigmatic blend that we've got. It doesn't smell like anything. And, you know, it like you, the sort of modernized, atomized, cosmopolitan bourgeois subject, this tea is from everywhere and from nowhere. Okay, we got a little bit in there. Who's barking? I wonder if the mic picked that up. We've got... God, it's like we're gonna have to brew this even longer, huh? I guess I should have taken that lesson from the Bigelow Oolong, where these bagged teas actually end up needing a lot of time to brew in here. It does taste like an Assam that's been turned all the way down. A little bit of malt. Okay, oh no. That one was a little bit astringent, that's it, but it was fruitier. That sort of deep, dark Assam fruit. Because there's probably a lot of Assam in here. They're growing a lot of tea in India. Right, so it's a mixture of a bunch of things. I think Assam is one of the primary things, along with Ceylon tea, the Sri Lankan stuff. That's my guess. That's the problem with this tea right here, is that it's already very bitter, but it tastes like very little. It's almost like, not only are you an insufficient quality, but you're not supposed to be in that little guy one at all, buddy. Oh well. So we'll go for like I don't know, what seems right to you? 15, 20 seconds? I'm not really counting. I'm doing too many things at once to do anything well. Hey, kind of like you. I wonder how many steeps you're going to get out of you. You do color very quickly, which is fun. It's a nice color. I mean, say what you want, but those dusty leaves, I mean, it's nice. It makes it look like there's something going on in there. Which, kind of fictitious. So I like to know where things are from. I'm that species of nerd, at least when it comes to tea. I want to know. And the problem with this is that I can sort of know. There's a list I found on internet which lists all of the Lipton Tea and Infusions Company, farms, tea gardens, whatever. And there's so many that it becomes kind of pointless to know. And any desire to attain knowledge about it is drowned in such a vast sea of information that each data point is basically meaningless. It's kind of obnoxious. Let's get that liquid out of there. Oh yeah, I forgot I could do that. That's fun. Man, I'm basically snorting this tea, and I can't even... Not only is it not getting me high, but I'm not smelling much either. I'm gonna keep saying that breakfast cereal, toasted thing. A little bit of that fruit, like a raspberry or like a plum. My nose is wet now. I guess it's gonna ruin the integrity of this lovely brew I've got here. I guess I could smell the malt on it. It's darker. It's definitely darker than that a little bit. Whole lot of nothing. We're gonna go way longer. And we're still not gonna get anything worthwhile out of you, probably. Okay, back of the mouth very, very briefly. Malt and toasted cereal. And that's it. That's what we got here. I mean, you're not supposed to taste like much. You're carefully, very carefully designed to not taste very strongly at all. Which is a choice. It's a selection. It's not. It's an option. Yeah. I was about to say thanks, Bigelow family, but they're not the cabal who's responsible for this. Thanks, Lipton. You know, this was leaves at one point. All these little things, they were leaves. Like you. I mean, not like, similar to you, but not the same. They were like you before, you know, a series of machines came by and transformed them into whatever this is. I mean, in a way, maybe there's something kind of noble about what the Lipton family is doing here. Kind of like the heroic hot dog of Greek myth. They're not letting any part go unused. You know, they're not allowing just even the most minute scrap to not be sold. Good for you, Liptons. You did it. You made a hot dog tea. You know, speaking of hot dog, let's get to the meat of all of this. Because this isn't just about how to improperly brew a bag of Lipton's tea. It's also about, like, what is it? What makes what's in that different than that? The whole leaves that I have in my lovely tin of Yanchang. What's the difference? Is there a difference? You know, why do I prefer that so much over this? Well, open up your mouth, get out a bun, put some condiments on your dog, and let's take a bite, you and I. Let's go on a little adventure together through a nefarious and leafy world. You know, come take my wounded hands, and I'll come hold and take your wounded brain, and I will fill it, I will imbue it with such an array of information as to, I don't know, hopefully provide a nominal distraction from the horrors of existence. There's a large part of this that is just about the industry. It's not even about the leaves so much, right? Because this is a product that is meant to be cheap and standardized. And so because it's meant to be cheap, they cut a lot of corners when they're making it. And they make it as cheaply as possible. Okay, we got a bit more smell there. Bit more of smell. Now that's words. Say what you want, but that's words, baby. Welcome to Words. How are you? You don't have to be rude. I mean, yeah, you should welcome me to Words. People are awful. So tea has a shelf life. It doesn't, not a shelf life in the sense that after a while will start causing like stomach malfunctions, but a shelf life in the same way that ground spices have a shelf life. Over time, it's going to get less flavorful and less potent. You know, like you know, becoming gradually more and more impotent over time, and you know, as the sort of horrors of modernity just make their way into your scrotal sack. It's a nice tie-in. And you know what? This doesn't have any. Obviously, it's not going to have any vintage on it. I mean, you don't. So, I guess you're getting some flack here too, buddy. That's the sound of flack, and you getting it. I have no idea how long this tea took to go from, you know, harvesting to processing to me. In between me and when it was done being processed, it was sitting in a warehouse, in the back of a grocery store, in the front of a grocery store, for an indeterminate amount of time. It could be a very long time. And, like spices, it's just going to get less and less flavorful over time. Especially because there's way to store these things. there's proper humidities and temperatures and lights, you know, that a tea should be sitting at. This is not taken care of in that manner. It's just not. The Lipton family is not putting that much effort into it because they're cutting corners, because they're going cheap. Oh, you have a little bit of color to you. Or am I losing my mind? We're really making a tea out of this slug thing? Caterpillar? I don't know. This isn't going to be stored at a humidity that's favorable to keeping it fresh and good. Or a temperature, or... I mean, well, it was in a little baggie here that protected it from light, so that helped a little bit on that end, but in all other respects, like spices, and all of what I'm going to say here basically applies to ground spices as well. It's just not taken care of properly. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. Entirely. Some of this is your fault, and we'll get to that. Put a pin in you, because whew, you've got some crimes to answer for. One of the ways that the cost cutting comes in is the plants themselves. So, sorry, buddy. They're using the cheaper, I guess cheaper is maybe not the right word here. Lower quality plants is what I would say. The plants that just don't make leaves that taste as good. They're less complex, they're less interesting, less flavorful, less tasty, and they're not stored properly. And because they want to make something that's cheap, and you know, they're making a product that's really just destined to be drowned in milk and sugar and kind of flavoristically ignored, because it's a caffeine vessel, and you know, a thing that makes your hands warm. My hands are cold, by the way. Whew. So because they're just not using the best plants available, because they want to make a cheap product, the sort of like, you know, the components in this bag that kind of look like what you'd get if you scratched my scalp sufficiently, you know, hard enough in January, it's less good, right? It's not so good. It's bad. You're not using good leaves. The sort of dandruff mimicry we've got going on here is it's a subpar brew from the start, and then, you know, they're not properly storing and taking care of it and processing it. But let's ignore all of that for a second. Let's ignore all of the ways that Lipton and friends don't really care about what they're doing here. About all the ways they cut corners and are lazy and do all of this to save money so they can sell a cheap thing that people, you know, I guess they're okay with. I mean, it says America's favorite tea. Let's ignore all that and let's enter the world of fantasy and science fiction and imagination. You know, and I'm not talking about a world where, you know, we've invented a method of hunting that allows us to transfer our consciousness into a different being's consciousness and experience life how they would, and really get a, you know, even if it's very brief, an understanding of how that creature lives. And I'm not talking about either a sort of science fiction realm or cyberspace is, you know, interesting and exciting and you can create and meet God there, you know, and instead of one that's really just ugly and is mostly used as a vehicle for data mining and advertisements and, depression. Right? And I'm not talking about a science fiction world where we've got consistent and close contact with aliens. Or one where you're, you know, intensely attracted to your automobile. I'm talking about a science fiction world where what's in this bag matters. Where the people who are making it actually care. Let's pretend that it was, you know, the people that put all that work into making that tea, or a good matcha, are making a bagged tea like this. Does it still matter? Is there still a difference between that and that? Yes, there is. Okay, so despite, I don't know, a multi-minute steep here. I mean, we're a couple steeps in. We got nothing on the smell chart here. Sorry, Vincent Price, or whoever was doing the old smell-o-vision stuff. But this tea would not pass muster. I am William Castle, director of such films as The Tingler, House on Haunted Hill, Mr. Sardonicus, and Macabre. The stupid among you may be wondering why I've appeared on the screen before you, when it seems as if our friend Autism here has just mentioned actor Vincent Price. This is because I am the figure to which they meant to refer to, but they were simply, like you, too stupid to remember me, William Castle, director of such films as The Tingler, House on Haunted Hill, Mr. Sardonicus, and Macabre. And they, like one of those insipid and accursed improvisational comedians, assumed they could just eject unfortunate syllables from their mouth without adequate preparation. Obviously, they were incorrect in that assumption, like all who ply that horrid trade. What an embarrassing turn of events for our friend Autism, huh? More embarrassing because not only did they think of Vincent Price rather than myself, William Castle, director of such films as The Tingler, House on Haunted Hill, Mr. Sardonicus, and Macabre, but none of my films ever included a smell-o-vision component to them. Evidently, they are living in some sort of dream world that consistently fails to line up with reality. Thankfully, I have come to intercede on their behalf and correct this frightfully embarrassing error made by the failed YouTuber but successful janitor, Autism. It's even cooled down quite a bit in the interim, because it's been brewing for so long. Oh my god. I have to use like all the powers, every faculty at my disposal to get like a hint of flavor here. And you know what? It's the same set of flavors. So you just say them for me. I don't need you to do any of the work here. You take care of it. Oh, that was good. Good job. I'm proud of you. We've now entered the science fiction landscape, where what's in here is well crafted. It's from good plants, good tea leaves. They're properly processing and storing it. They're doing, and it's fresh. They're doing everything in their power to make it good. So why is it still less good than that? Part of it, and this is a subjective thing, part of it for me is a sort of aesthetic experience. Whole leaves look nicer than a bag. That lump in there isn't exactly like, I don't know, pleasant to look at. But when I'm brewing some whole leaf tea, and I open up my Gaiwan lid, and I see them in there, you know, I see an entire leaf with its veins and little sort of serrated edges near the top of them, and the kind of slight variations of color on each individual leaf. Like, that makes me happy. And that's a subjective thing. So there's probably someone out there who looks at that sack, and my god, are they happy. Part of it's also just the method of brewing. It's not just that this is a sort of not great tea, and that's why it's not doing well in here. It's that tea needs space. It needs space to expand and you know, to grow. Once water is introduced, the leaves they expand, right? And it needs to be able to do that, or it's just not going to be as good, right? Because especially if you're brewing like this, if you're brewing time and time again, I mean, we'll curse the fates a little bit. We'll tempt them by opening this. There's like no space for that tea to move, right? It's kind of trapped in that bag. Like I was once trapped in a sack. Thursdays, you know? Whew. You know, take like a hand-rolled oolong, for example. When you brew those, the leaves, they'll expand a ton. And if they don't have space to do that, they're not really able to. And so when you're brewing it, you get brews that are both over and under steeped, because you're not brewing the entire leaf. The water isn't able to like worm its way through all the crevices and all the little bits of leaf. It's hitting the same spots again and again. And so the flavor's gone from them really quickly, and then you just get the bitter component of it. And that's kind of what happens with this bag. There's also the fact that there's a bag there. You know, bags, ever heard of them? You're also steeping bag. You're getting bag flavor in there. It's probably not a lot. It's probably almost nothing. But it's in there. You're drinking a bit of bag. Control is another part. Right, when you've got sort of a bagged situation like this, that's how much tea you're brewing. I mean, you can add more bags, but it's hard to get any more granularity than that. With loose leaf, even if it's not whole leaf, just with loose leaf, you have a lot more control about how much you want to brew. And, you know, some people are going to like it with different amounts of tea. And you only can find that out if you can brew with different amounts of tea. And you can't do that so much with these bags. And when leaves have been minced up so thoroughly, when they've been chopped up to this degree, there's a lot more surface area that's exposed. And when that happens, all of the little essential oils that are you know, giving the tea like flavor and body and making it more interesting and complex and flavorful and thesaurus, all of that dissipates way faster. Right, so in addition to this just not being stored well, it's also made in a way that it's going to degrade even quicker. You know, all this puts me in mind of a joke I heard once. A priest, you know, it's a Sunday. A priest has just finished delivering the Sunday Mass. It's been a long day. It's a long week, really. And they've returned to their sort of humble abode so that they can relax for the night. You know, they sit in their nice armchair. They have a nice glass of a mid-range brandy, but you know, it's still a respectable one. It's still decent. It's not a bad one. And you know, they've lit a fire in the fireplace. They've set everything up for a nice cozy night, and they crack open the book they've been reading, The Courtship of Princess Leia. And you know, they read about Han Solo winning a planet, a literal planet, in a card game. They read about Yoda being a flirt with witches. They read about Rancors being semi-intelligent and capable of reading. That one always makes me laugh. I always think of, you know, I'm just going to interrupt my own joke here. I always think of a Rancor sitting at the sort of morning coffee table, holding a newspaper. That's what I think. Thanks, Courtship of Princess Leia. You created that. You made that happen. They read lines like, "Oh, I'd rather be his masseuse. Imagine eating that hot flesh all night long." Oh, hey, we got a bug. And, you know, they read and they read and they read about, you know, the story called The Courtship of Princess Leia, which presumably centers Princess Leia. They read about Han Solo shooting her with a gun that removes her free will because there's a sexy space French prince man who, you know, is trying to court her. Wow. Sorry, Carrie. Trying to court her, and, you know, that makes Han Solo insecure because this one guy speaks fancy space French, and he's known her for about 12 minutes, and he's already in love with her, and so he does that, and he kidnaps her. And then she marries him anyway. And, you know, the priest reads all that. They put the book down. They take the last swig of their mid-range but perfectly acceptable brandy, and they look into the sort of low, smoldering fire, and they say, "Wow, that was a waste of time." All right. We'll call this the final one here. I mean, really, we haven't had a lot of flavor out of any of these, so who knows? You know, here's a thought. Next time I do this, if I've got enough of a bag, enough of a bag, enough bags. Because I only have the one of this. This was specially procured just for me. I think I'm going to do 2 bags next time if I'm doing any more bagged teas in here, because this isn't really working. There's no smell. It's smellless. The color, yeah, say what you want. That color's consistent. Lipton's got that going for him. Okay, that tasted like nothing. Maybe the rinse will be a little better. Oh, we have the vaguest hint of a fruit. It's kind of like I saw a photo of a fruit. That's kind of how much flavor I got in there. Let's see what the rinse is. Oh, that's better. It doesn't hang out long, but that's slightly better. So we got some toasted cereal, we got a bit of fruit, a little bit of malt, and within about a second, it's all gone. So, you know, do what you will with that with that entire, you know, rambly spiel about the difference between bags and loose leaf tea, especially whole leaf tea, and sort of the problems here. You know, I still have bagged tea like this occasionally. You know, and I drown it in milk and sugar. I mostly have it when I have like a sort of cookie contraption that I'm going to dip in there and eat. That's the best part. I mean, the entire thing is basically dessert. But you know, do what you want. You use that information as you will. I mean, you know, maybe some of you prefer this to this. You like the bagged tea, and you know, you have your reasons for it. And you know what? You're a bunch of losers, and you're stupid. Yeah, that's right. This isn't a let people like things kind of deal. No, not at all. No. If you drink bagged tea, you're a bad person, and you should feel bad for your choice in tea-based beverages, right? We're not doing some sort of everyone's choices are valid kind of crap here. No. We're pretentious, we're judgy, and frankly, we're just better than you are because this is what you drink, and you know you don't feel appropriately bad enough about it. You know, the truth of the matter is that the way I drink tea, and the tea I drink, you know, it's cool, it's sexy, it's smart, and it's a reflection on my character. And, you know, the tea you drink is none of those things. It's also a reflection on your character, you ding dong.